Hey everyone, thanks so much for taking time to view this presentation that we have. We typically have this as a small group class, and we are presenting it now for anybody to watch. This is going to be about meal volumetrics and plate balance. So first, I really like this presentation because it presents just a good visual and thought process for balancing our plate, but also pre-surgery, when people do struggle with hunger, it is really difficult to make sure you're staying full, not leaving yourself starving and setting you up for snacking later or binging or having larger portions, because we all know before surgery our stomachs are normal size, and some people really do struggle with that hunger beforehand. So this is geared towards more our pre-surgical ways of eating, and it relays into post-surgery, because in post-surgery we're going to want to use the same concept of plate balance, but portions will be a bit smaller. So starting off with this first picture, if you look at both plates, you wonder which one will fill you more. Both plates are equal in calories. So I don't know about you, but the one on the left, even though I know there's a lot of lovers of Chinese food, General Tso's, the fried breaded chicken, and that's what's in that picture. There's only about 4 pieces of chicken there, 3 pieces of broccoli, and a big bed of rice. That's the same calories as the one on the right, and the right one definitely looks like it would fill me up a lot more. Lots of veggies. The chicken is grilled instead of fried, so there goes tons of caloric density. And the rice beneath it is a lot less. So there's more vegetables, the meal is diluted with protein, vegetables, and less of the carbs. And that's kind of the goal that we're shooting for, and the point we want to get across today. We're going to start with protein comparisons. So not all proteins are created equal. There are proteins that, even for the same amount of weight, will have double the calories as the lean proteins that are of the same weight. So that's what we're going to talk about here. This is a picture of peanut butter, 2 tablespoons, which would be 2 of those little measuring tablespoons, or a big heap on one actual spoon, versus this entire plate of food, which is about 3 ounces of either lean fish, turkey, or chicken, a half a cup of rice, and a cup of a green non-starchy vegetable. So you might think, oh, on the left that's such a small portion, that one's probably less calories, when in reality they are the same, approximately. The dinner plate might be a little bit more, but you can see too, the protein in peanut butter is not that great considering the caloric density for it. Yes, there's a little bit of protein in peanut butter, but we do not want to count peanut butter as our main protein source at a meal because it's a lot of calories, versus that one little piece of fish or chicken is only about 100 calories, and that's going to have 15 to 20 grams of protein. So again, be careful with peanut butter. If you're a peanut butter lover, you can have a little bit, but don't go overboard with it, and try measuring it just to see visually what you're getting. Snack portions and caloric density. So along the same lines, in this example here, we have 2 ounces of turkey or ham or chicken rolled up like the deli meat, and that's probably medium thickness, and about 4 pieces of it. On the right hand side, we have half a cup of mixed nuts. So half a cup is going to be about 2 small handfuls. Get out one of your measuring cups and just see what half a cup looks like. And this goes for any nuts. This could be peanuts, almonds, cashews, any of those. So when we compare the caloric density of these, you can see they have about the same amount of protein in them, so good protein for a snack. But calorie-wise, the turkey's only about 50 calories. You can still add a fruit there, you could add some yogurt, you could add some veggies and hummus, you could add something else to that snack to keep it under 200 calories. However, on the right-hand side, that's almost a meal's worth of calories. So be really careful with nuts. I often will tell people, yes, nuts are a great source of healthy fats. They have some protein in, which is great. But if you're going for nuts, you must measure. Keep it to 1/4 cup as a snack. And if you're hungry, may not want to go to nuts, because 1/4 cup might not keep you very full if you really need more volume at that snack. Because for that same amount of calories in a 1/4 cup of nuts, you could get a yogurt and a fruit, or as we mentioned here, the lean meat and something else with that. Again, not all proteins are created equal here. We have some regular pork breakfast sausage. So these are just 2 little patties, very small, versus some freshly cut turkey breast, about 8 ounces, which is half a pound of sliced turkey. When we compare these two, and this is just the sausage, mind you, this is no, bagel or biscuit or cheese or egg on that. It's just the sausage. You can see the turkey, half a pound of turkey, which is a lot of turkey, is still less calories and double the protein. Now, not many people are going to sit and eat half a pound of turkey at one sitting, but that's just to demonstrate that for way more amount or volume, you're going to have a lot less calories than doing the higher fat proteins. So when you're choosing proteins, choose the lean ones. Now, if you do love sausage, though, choosing turkey sausage or chicken sausage would bring that calorie content of the sausage on the left, that would bring that down significantly, almost to half, depending on the brand and the portion sizes. So chicken and turkey sausage are definitely a better option if you are a sausage lover. Moving on to plate balance. This is a picture of a plate that is very balanced, and this is kind of our goal. Again, we're not encouraging people to eliminate carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are good for you. They do have a place in our diet. It's just that we want to change the composition of our meals and our daily intake to make sure that we balance those carbohydrates out appropriately. So our whole intake is not mainly from carbs, but more from protein and vegetables, and a balance of all of those. So you can see about half this plate is from vegetables. A quarter of the plate is from that little bit of mashed potato or carbohydrate that you choose, and then the other quarter or so is from your lean proteins. So I'm going to be kind of talking through this and just talking through how we can make some of these plates a little more balanced. Now, this is pasta, obviously. Is this a balanced plate? You might say, well, there's some green things and red things that makes it a little bit more balanced because of the vegetables, but we don't see any meat there. So this is definitely not a balanced meal. There are a little bit of vegetables, but not near enough to cover half a plate. So in a combination meal like this, we want to think of it as separating out all the individual ingredients. So if we were to pick out all the tomatoes and basil, and if we were to pick out any meat that would be in here, would it cover half the plate for the vegetables? And would that pasta only cover a quarter of the plate? Probably not in this instance. So in order to rectify that and make it a little more balanced, what we can do is still have some pasta. Whole wheat is obviously going to be a little bit better. However, carbs and calories don't differ if you're choosing a whole wheat pasta. It's much better for you from a health standpoint. There's more fiber. It's better for your blood sugar control, your cholesterol, all of those things, but there's still the same amount of carbs and calories, so we want to make sure that we're still controlling the portion of those. So this is an example. You put a small scoop of pasta on your plate, which probably won't look like it's going to fill you up. However, make a really big sauce. Red sauce is best because there's not the high added fats from butter and cream sauces, but dilute that meal and add tons and tons of vegetables to the sauce. Any vegetable goes well in a tomato sauce, and add a good amount of protein. So that could be chicken, ground turkey, lean ground beef of 90% lean, shrimp, scallops, turkey sausage, chicken meatballs, turkey meatballs, any of those things. And then you take, on top of that small scoop of pasta, you put a whole bunch of those vegetables and protein from the sauce. And it's going to look like you have a full plate of food. So that'll help to keep you full on pasta nights. Another alternative, for those of you who may not have tried it, some of you may be familiar with this, zoodles, the zucchini noodles that you make with a zoodler. You can buy just a handheld one. You can get it on Amazon. They're either called a spiralizer or a veggetti. And you can also get them, you can get them at the store, you can get them on Amazon, wherever. But the little handheld one is just fine. You don't need to get the big one that sits on your countertop. And you can honestly cook up zoodles quicker than you can pasta noodles. You simply take a zucchini and twist it through to make the noodles. You saute them very briefly, 2 to 3 minutes on medium-high in a skillet with a little bit of olive oil or cooking spray, and then you add whatever sauce that you may be giving your family or that you've made for yourself, a red sauce that has some meat in it. So just make sure you add some, it looks like in this picture there's some turkey sausage there, and you just add that on top of your zoodles. Very low carb meal. Spaghetti squash is another great option. It takes a little bit more time to prepare the spaghetti squash by roasting it in the oven, or you can always do it in the crock pot. You can Google how to do that in the crock pot. You simply put it in with just a cup of water before you even cut the spaghetti squash. But at the end, once it's all baked, that spaghetti squash just comes right out, and then you can put whatever sauce over top of the spaghetti squash that you want. So another two really good alternative options for pasta. Does this plate look balanced? We're moving on to rice, beans, and meat here. Definitely we have a good amount of protein in this one as opposed to our last example. We also have a fair amount of rice here. And beans, though they are very good for you, they're very high fiber, they have extra protein that we're adding into our already high protein meal here, but they do have carbohydrates as well. So we want to just be careful with our beans. It's not that we don't want to eat them or we have to get rid of our rice if we're eating the beans. But if you're doing that, in order to make this a little more balanced, we would maybe want to take away half of the rice and half of the beans that are on this plate. And what do we want to add? A vegetable. So vegetable or salad needs to be added. So when we look at these plates, these are examples of taking the same type of food. We still have rice, we still have beans, but we added a whole bunch of non-starchy vegetables roasted or a salad. How about casseroles or macaroni and cheese? These are things that are very common, especially here in Lancaster County. And we want to make sure that even if we intentionally say, oh, I'm going to add, for instance, in this picture, it looks like a little ham is added and maybe some zucchinis or a green vegetable. There's still, if we were to take this example and separate the noodles from the protein from the vegetable, we're probably not going to have half a plate of vegetables, a quarter plate of protein, and only a quarter plate of the noodles. So an example like this, or any type of casserole that's made with rice or potatoes or noodles, we want to make sure that that's either a side or there's much less potatoes or noodles. Okay, so this is the example of using the macaroni and cheese as the side item. So keep that macaroni and cheese portion to only about half a cup and keep it the smallest part of your plate. Add some meat. In these examples, there's chicken, there's beef, and then there's always a vegetable on each plate. And that's the goal. We want to make sure that we're still including those non-starchy vegetables. All right, on to pizza. Lots of pizza lovers, I know that. It's vegetable pizza. That makes it a little healthier, but it's still not the balance we're looking for. We are not saying never eat pizza. By all means, enjoy your pizza on occasion. Don't have it all the time. Be careful too, how much leftover pizza are you having and how many meals of leftover pizza are you having? So that might not just be one meal per week. It might end up being 3 meals depending on how many leftovers you have. So plan for not too many leftovers so that not too many of your meals end up being this higher fat, higher calorie choice. But when it comes to pizza, maybe just consider doing half of what you would usually do. If you usually do 4 pieces, maybe take it down to 2 pieces. If you used to do 2 pieces, keep it down to 1. But in order to fill our stomachs the rest of the week, if we're used to eating that amount, add a vegetable, add a salad, add a non-starchy veggie you can quick throw in the microwave. If you're ordering the pizza, just order a side salad so that you can eat that and still feel content and satisfied. You can also make your own pizzas. This is one of the better ways to do it, and especially for after surgery when you don't tolerate those breads, like the thick crusts of the pizza, this is a much better way to do it. You can buy pitas, you can buy be careful with flatbreads because there are flatbreads that are still really high in carbs, but they do make 100-calorie flatbread pizzas that you can use, but always put a protein source on. So put some chicken on. I like to put turkey sausage or turkey pepperoni on. Sometimes I'll just take rotisserie chicken and pull that and put it on, beans, and then you name it with the veggies. You can add those and just stay light on the cheese. So that's a really great option for making your own. There are also, I also wanted to mention when it comes to pizzas, there are cauliflower crust pizzas out there. I realize that some of them may not be all that good if they're pre-prepared. So really be cautious, be looking how many carbs, how many calories are actually in these cauliflower crust pizzas. Some may be really, really good, especially if you're making them from scratch. There's also an even better option, and I prefer eating it because you can actually pick up a piece of it and eat it like a pizza, chicken crust pizzas. So a lot of bariatric sites or Pinterest, if you look up chicken crust pizza, it's made from ground chicken and it is an all protein crust. It's delicious. So that's a great option for post-surgery as well. So back to the stir fries here. This is a picture of some type of chicken vegetable stir fry. Does this look balanced? It certainly looks more balanced than some of our other examples earlier. There's lots of vegetables, there's lots of protein. However, we don't know how much rice is below that. If this is a very deep plate full of rice underneath that chicken and vegetables, then maybe we want to decrease the rice, add some more veggies if you need it. But if this could be just half a cup of rice, really spread out, and the veggies and meat on top of it. Because if you take half a cup of rice or 1 cup for men and you flatten that out, it looks like a whole lot more. So if you want to deceive yourself, you can just put that little bit of carbohydrate on your plate and flatten it out a little bit so it looks like a lot more. All right. And then we have this example of soups and stews. So these looks like there's a lot of potatoes on the one on the left. On the right, there's one with a lot of noodles. There might be a little bit of chicken in there, a little bit of vegetables. But again, if these are homemade soups, we want to make sure we're putting more meat in there than anything else. So if it's a recipe that you make frequently, consider doubling the amount of chicken or the amount of beef or the amount of turkey that you put in it, and take out half of the amount of rice or potatoes or noodles that you normally put in it. The one on the left, a potato soup, a lot of these creamed soup, whether it's cream of potato or anything that says cream or chowder, or even if it's cream of celery, it sounds like there's vegetable in there, but there's really not a lot and there's not any protein source. Same with any of your canned soups. Chicken noodle soup. If you were really to pick out the amount of chicken that's in those soups and put it to the side, it's not going to be near enough, not close to that 3 to 4 ounces that we need or more. So really be careful with those canned soups, making sure that if you do have a canned soup, say it's only 8 grams of protein, hey, add some rotisserie chicken to it, or make sure it's one that does not have a lot of noodles or doesn't have a lot of rice. Those are the ones we want to steer clear from. This is just a picture of a soup. Looks like a homemade soup that has lots of chicken in it, lots of vegetable, and it looks like they even took the noodles out in this example. So just to summarize our breakfast, lunch, and dinner here, breakfast, protein, a little bit of carbohydrate. This is an example of a balanced dinner plate. Half of it's vegetable, a little bit of carbohydrate there, for the lunch, it's a lot of vegetables. Our carbohydrate is primarily the apples there, and then a whole bunch of chicken, a nice grilled chicken breast. And then dinner, half the plate is asparagus, quarter of it your protein, and a quarter of it your starch. And if you're still hungry, if you really are used to larger portions than that, if you do need to liberate your protein portion, have a little bit more of the protein if it's a lean choice, or have a little bit more of the vegetable, that's fine too. Better than being hungry later and going for simple carb snacks. And that is all we have for today. So please, if you have any questions, just contact your dietitian. Hope this was helpful for you today, and keep up the good work with your lifestyle changes. Be healthy and well.